Huh? What's this? An egg? Left unattended? I suppose it couldn't hurt to take it. Wait, what is that sound? Hi. Ah! Help me! The Hunted. It's one of the most unique mods in Ark, where there is no knockout tames, and the only way I can get dinos is to steal their eggs. And try not to get caught by the very angry parents. Now I have 100 days on this crazy mod to reach the end goal of eliminating Doug and Greg. And this will definitely not be an easy challenge. So, let's get into it. Per usual, I spun on day 1, unsure if I'm quite ready for this, but I scratched my wrist to prepare myself mentally and physically, immediately gather some Infinity Stones, and fight Professor Birch to the death. And I then heard this god-awful sound. Excuse the shit out of me, what the hell was that? Turns out it was this degenerate. Well, that's an issue there. And eventually he de-aggroed, and I was able to continue physically assaulting the local plant life, and I crafted my first stone pickaxe. And while I was waiting for the pickaxe to craft, because things take a very long time to craft in this mod, our little friend re-aggroed. Oh my god, are you... Bro. Go away, I'm crafting. Why? Why are you pissed? Anyway, after pissing off the wildlife, I got some useful stuff from these crates washed up on the beach. I then crafted a hatchet, as well as a foundation, placed it down, and crafted a storage box and placed that down as well. And after putting my stuff away, I decided to take down the Dimetrodon I had spotted earlier. Hey buddy, how you doing? And the way this mod works, you have to sit here and skin the corpses. You can't just hit them for the hide. After getting a solid 8 pieces of hide, I harvested that man's entrails, and at the start of day 2, I crafted myself some cloth armor so I was no longer naked.
Good grief, he's naked!
I then crafted myself a campfire to make some food, placed it down, threw in some wood and meat, and lit the fire. I later found myself up the hill looking for crystal where I had to fight waves of ankle-biting degenerates. I, of course, skinned them for their precious hide. And while making my way up the hill, I saw this. Oh no. Nope, I'm good. And nearing the crystal spawns, I caught the attention of the local buggy boy. It's already after me. And I sent that man to the Shadow Realm. I did it. Spooter down. Give me my arrows back. Punk ass. I then harvested the chitin off its back and finally harvested some crystal. And then while asking some monkeys for directions, a heathen decided to pick my pockets. Ow. You bastard. I then found some useful stuff from a white drop, and while out exploring, this came up on my screen. That means that this is a pteranodon nesting ground, and there is a very angry mother nearby, and while I found her guarding the nest, and she was not very happy. Yeah. I got deleted. Twice. I decided just to take the L and spawn in the highlands at the beginning of day 3. I wanted to make a base in the cave here, but someone wanted to try to charge rent. But of course, look who's there. But luckily he didn't aggro and I ran inside, so after crafting a wooden foundation and placing it down, I upgraded my storage capacity and then ran into a family of otters. Salmon roe, I don't have any food for you, but you're so adorable. I'm sorry. And witnessed a baryonyx being bullied.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And then I got deleted. After getting my stuff back, I gathered some veggies from the beach, and while running from some trikes, I saw this.
Robert, there's an issue.
And you'll never guess what I did. I ran. I managed to make it back home, but it was way too cold, so I perished. What? And on day 4, I offed myself and respawned near where I saw some dodos earlier, stole the egg from a very angry parent, punched them off a cliff, and grabbed the second egg. And while this mama parasaur was distracted, I stole her egg too. I took another dodo egg for good measure, ran past some very angry morellatops.
The mailboy!
I then found this decaying corpse on the ground and took his survivor implant and stole a turtle egg with no parent in sight. I did eventually make it home safely on day 5, slightly more traumatized. I then placed down another campfire and cooked some food. And while out doing some exploring, I destroyed this Megalanian nest and took the egg, and they were completely oblivious. And on day 6, I watched a Megalania commit war crimes on a herd of Ovis, so I of course took the opportunity to skin all of the dead sheep for their hide. I also stole another Parasaur egg, returned home, crafted a mortar and pestle, as well as the Ember nest, which hatches tiny and small eggs. I then crafted some spark powder, which the nest needs for fuel, and just like that, Perry was born. I also threw down the rest of the eggs to hatch, harvested some berries, and then I claimed the newborns. I then went up to the small cave above mine and harvested some crystal to craft the awesome spyglass. Afterwards, I crafted the saddle crafting bench and took a peek at what I needed to get Perry a saddle. And on day 7, I stole a Packy egg 20 feet from the parents, got deleted by a buggy boy, got my stuff back, collected a Zeta implant from a drop, and at the dawn of day 8, I adopted this Morellatops eggs, and its parents weren't too happy. I crafted myself a bola, and chained up our old friend Papa Birdman on day 9, which allowed me to take the egg and skedaddle out of there. A safe distance away, I also took this turtle egg, and while scoping out another PT nest, I had the jump scare of a lifetime.
Oh shit. Dude, that scared the fuck out of me.
I snuck past the now sleepy boy and got my stuff back, but there was a problem. I had this, and this guy was 19 feet away. So yeah, I got deleted. After respawning, I grabbed my stuff, and guess what? I thought I was gonna get away, but then decided to leave my bag on shore and kite them way out into the ocean. After getting deleted again and getting my stuff back, I got some more tools from the washed up crates. I gave an Oviraptor a taste of his own medicine and then sent a turtle to the Shadow Realm with a mean right hook. About the middle of day 10, I finally made it back home and crafted a blood extraction syringe, drew some blood, and then fused it with a Zeta implant to reactivate it. And with that, I was finally able to craft Perry a saddle. Afterwards, I took him outside to fulfill his role as a humble farmer. And on day 11, I crafted a feeding trough so everyone wouldn't starve to death, and then allowed Perry and his girlfriend to do their business. I hatched their child, as well as the Morellatops and Packy eggs and the other turtle egg. I named the male turtle Bowser, the female Bowsette, the Morellatops Humphrey, and the Packy Cranidos. I crafted a couple soul traps, harvested some more wood, crafted some more arrows and a bola, and then decided to commit Oviraptor genocide on day 12. And once back home, I reactivated a Epsilon implant and crafted a forge finally on day 13. I threw in some metal and lit the fire. I then placed down a couple more foundations, crafted a smithy, and finally crafted a metal pick, and then proceeded to obliterate Dwayne The Rock Johnson for a 5th time. This dude just doesn't give up. I then crafted a raft so I don't have to walk everywhere, and set sail with Perry to go get more materials. I then bullied our old friend again and sent him to the Shadow Realm. I then skinned him for his hide, harvested some poly from a Hesperornis, noticed a whole lot of nope on day 14, and collected a beta implant from a yellow drop. Stole a Lycer egg that will never get hatched, and I watched Perry go stiff.
Robert, help.
Then on day 15, some mantis got pissed off at my very existence.
I will douse you in gasoline and ignite it into a fiery, sacrificial display of immolation from my own satisfaction, you stupid, idiotically Burman.
So I sent them both to the Shadow Realm. Also deleted a lizard man and took his toxin. Returning home, I reactivated a Delta implant as well as crafted a large crop plot in the next tier of nest. I placed down an irrigation system, deposited some of Perry's excrement, and then planted a cocoa droop seed because I needed the fiber for the next saddles. To prepare, I fired up the new nest and threw down the PT egg, and once she hatched, I named her Terry. And then fed her some fish from the pond down below because pteranodons are pescivores in this mod. And on day 16, I imprinted Terry, and apparently the plant was very happy to see me. Then on day 17, I went on a berry run with Perry. I decided to go out and get some more resources for saddles. Miss Otter decided to hitch a ride. I got an alpha implant from a red drop, and on day 18, I got some black pearls from a Basilo nursery. Stole another PT egg in hopes to get Terry a boyfriend, and then murdered a Pelagornis and plucked his feathers. I shot an arrow into the salmon's face and collected salmon roe. I then tamed every otter I could see on the way back to base. And on day 19, I was in a war between Aloes and Ankies, and while they were distracted, I stole an Anki egg, and then kited a bunch of angry trikes away from the nest and stole their egg too. I immediately threw them down to hatch, and I finally got some cocoa fiber from the tree, but it still wasn't enough, and I also hatched the new PT egg. Unfortunately, it was female. I then named the trike Wazowski, and that's Anki Sir Angleton. Afterwards, I crafted a few more crop plots and planted some more cocoa drupes. And day 20 was just spent waiting for fiber, so we'll skip ahead to day 21 where I finally crafted a PT saddle, and I finally took the skies. And with Terry's newfound strength, she obliterated a reindeer, I got a decent compound bow from a red drop, and I tamed a dung beetle in the desert. And on day 22, I stole a Carno egg from parents nowhere near, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but I took that egg too. And on day 23, I crafted an S+ crafting station, and crafted a bunch of foundations to expand my little platform. Placed down a cage and threw the dung beetle inside, crafted a much needed flak armor set. Terry got almost deleted by a pack of lizards. And then on day 24, I spotted an RG nest that I will definitely be making a stop at. So once the parents went to grab milk, I merely adopted their child. Also took in this poor defenseless Carno egg. I also angered 387 beavers by stealing their cementing paste.
That's a lot of fucking beavers, dude. Wait.
And on day 25, I saw a Giga wreaking havoc across the highlands, so I of course swooped in and cleaned up some of the aftermath.
I get tributes from this.
Once back home, I put away my earnings, crafted some refertilizer, got some oil from a beached whale, and then crafted the living nest, which can hatch any egg. And after failing to find an anglerfish to fuel the nest, on day 26 I got a very good crossbow from a purple drop. And the rest of day 26 was just been searching for anglerfish, so on day 27 I hatched 2 Carno eggs. And I decided to craft some arrows and try to take out that Giga from earlier.
We did it.
I harvested its heart, and its armor plates, and its hide. And while trying to get the stuff home, this happened.
That's gonna hurt. No! No! Oh.
Rest in peace, Terry. I returned home day 28 and put my stuff away and then deleted Mr. Rhino.
I don't think so.
I then set out on Terry Jr. to track down some anglerfish, and while on the way I saw this.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
Anyway, with that sheer amount of nope, on day 29 I sailed forward a few hundred yards and dove in to scout the waters. I managed to catch the aggro of a couple, but then they just swam away, so I decided to pick a different target. This one decided not to be a little bitch if I met like a man, even though it's a female. Says a lot about today's society. Anyway, I got the angler gel and went back home. Tossed out the RG egg, and 90 seconds later, was born. I also hatched a Megalania egg. I named him Salandit. I then murdered a sheep for its wool. And on day 30, I shot down this mother pteranodon who was guarding a nest and adopted the newly orphaned child. I won a very unfair sword fight against Raphael and harvested the shell off his back. I watched a Tuso get deleted by some Basilos, adopted another orphaned RG, as well as a mantis that will probably never get hatched. I then hatched the RG and a Carno egg, and the Carno apparently had places to be.
I'm going to go remove South Carolina.
And on day 31, I harvested up some crystal and stole a couple packy eggs so I could make some kibble. I hatched one of them, and then proceeded to reduce the salmon population for their salmon roe. I then cooked up some fresh fish fillets, threw them in the cooking pot along with some major berries, and then crafted some simple kibble. And on day 32, I tamed a baby ovis. I ended up with a breeding pair so I could have a steady supply of wool. And on day 33, I started with a berry run to feed the new baby ovis, slaughtered some fish for the PTs, murdered an aloe for its brain, and then sheared the wool off the ovis. And on day 34, I repaired the living nest because it was getting quite low in health. I used an Alabrain to reactivate a gamma implant, crafted a beta tier saddle, and turned that into an RG saddle. I saddled up Hawktua and started an aerial assault on a family of Megalania. Stole a Gallimimus egg along with another RG egg, and on day 35 I scouted out the swamps for potential tames. I found this Sarco egg as well as this Spino nest, and I kited one of the parents away, deleted a local degenerate, grabbed the egg and got the hell out of there.
Gotta go.
Got another Spino egg from some deadbeats who weren't around, as well as another one that was 30 feet away. And on day 36, I got some silk from a mantis nest, milked the snake for its venom, and when I returned home, I hatched the RG eggs I collected as well as 3 Spino eggs. And on day 37, I collected a beta implant from a yellow drop, and these are going to be absolutely key later on. I then obliterated a family of sabers. And then on day 38, I proceeded to collect silk from every mantis nest in the tri-state area. I had to murder some angry parents.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
And on day 39, I stole another RG egg in hopes to get Hawktua a boyfriend. I also committed genocide of the raptor variety and adopted their newly orphaned child, as well as a stego whose parents were unfortunately kited off a cliff. And on day 40, I also took the Spino egg, and Mom was not too happy, and the dad decided to follow me halfway across the map, and then I found this other one all by itself. And then while clearing out the RG's inventory, this happened.
Oh shit, that's not good.
Yeah, I perished. And after respawning, I ran my naked ass back into the swamp to get my stuff, and once I got my stuff back, I whistled Hawktua to me and got the hell out of there. I then adopted this RJ whose parents took an extended trip into the afterlife and grabbed this other one that was nearby. And on day 41, I threw out the eggs to hatch, and after they finally hatched, and after about 7 eggs, I had a male, as well as a male RG. And on day 42, I named one of the RGs Hawk Hogan, and deleted some horned degenerates and skinned their pelt. And with enough pelt, I was able to craft a superior saddle, and I used that on an Anki saddle and took him on a metal run. And on day 43, I set my sights on the Theory nest, and unfortunately, when I arrived, the nest was under the map. AAA game, by the way. But luckily, there was another one not too far away. When I arrived back in my humble abode, I hatched the Theory egg. And on day 44, I set the Spinos of breed. I named the dung beetle Rhesus species, crafted some spark powder, and crafted a fabricator. Got a nice pike BP from a cave drop, and then saw this.
Hey, wait a minute. That's a W.
Nice.
I then farmed some freedom juice and returned home on day 45, where I crafted some electronics, a generator, and some cables to go with it, as well as a refrigerator to hold any items I have that spoil over time. I also placed down a soul terminal, and on day 46, Hawktua got aimbotted by a snake.
You aimbotting bitch.
I invaded a beaver's home, stole some honey from some bees, and got deleted. Anyway, I got my stuff back and flew back home. And on day 47, I made some exceptional kibble, and then crafted some gunpowder as well, and turned said gunpowder into simple rifle ammo. And on day 48, I took out some Theory parents so I could adopt their children. Returning home, I threw out the baby Theory, and took out some more rhinos for their precious pelt, as well as some wolves who tried to intervene. And on day 49, I crafted another superior saddle and turned it into a trike saddle. Let's just say berries were no longer a problem. I then took the Anki on a flint run and crafted up a bunch of arrows because I was getting ready to do the first cave. I crafted some grapples as well and set out to get my first artifacts. Now, entering the carnivorous caverns, I was kind of unsure of what to expect because this mod messes with the spawns, but it was pretty standard stuff. And now on day 50, I collected my first of 10 artifacts, and then not too far away lied the other artifact in this cave. And now it's time for the lava golem cave, and of course, on the way through, I had to delete some degenerates. And then I proceeded to get into a dogfight with the Batman himself, and I won, of course.
Okay.
I then watched the spider decide I couldn't take it anymore,
This is the artifact, and that spider is about to commit suicide.
and collected my artifact. 3 down, 7 to go. And artifact number 4 was the easiest of the bunch. And then when I returned home on day 51, I leveled the PT into stamina and movement speed because I wanted a wyvern egg. So I dumped all my stuff in a box and flew over to the wyvern trench. Now these eggs spawn at normal levels, so I was just going to go for the lowest one I could find, which I found this level 20, so I snatched it up and flew out of there like a bat out of hell. Sticking close to the walls and going low seemed to work perfectly. Eventually I got a safe distance away and landed to catch my breath. And returning home, I crafted a bunch of standing torches to hatch this thing, and after just a few minutes our dragon was born. I named her Scooter, because our only purpose was transportation. I then queued up some more spark powder to prepare for the next caves ahead, then set the theories to breed. I watched, picked up the egg, and put it in the fridge to hatch later. And day 52 was spent tending to baby theories, imprinting them and letting them grow. And on day 53, Scooter was finally grown, so we set out to take down an alpha raptor for levels. And once my target was acquired, I shot it again and again and again until finally... Oh my god, okay. I have my hatchet on me, oh no. Yeah, I left my hatchet back at base. So I quickly made a stone pick, got some wood and some flint, and a hatchet, killed a raptor, skinned it, got some stone, crafted a forge, placed it on a thatch foundation, got some metal, put it in the forge, threw in some wood, and lit the fire. And once that was done, I crafted a smithy, crafted my metal hatchet, with which I harvested the alpha raptor claws, and on day 54 I reactivated a beta implant, and then took out some aloes who were nearby so I could harvest their armor plates. I then set out to hunt down some turtles for their shell fragments because it substitutes as keratin. So I took down Bowser's cousin and put his shell in my pocket instead of launching it at somebody down during a street race. And on day 55 I threw out the ovis to later shear the wool for saddles. And then on day 56 I finally had enough wool to make a theory saddle, and then sacrifice some unwanted children to the yard gods. I decided to level my cave theories who run 10k health and dump the rest of the points into melee. And then the morning of day 57 the sheep were ready to be groomed again, and then flying towards a red supply drop I saw this.
Sweet Jesus.
So of course I grabbed it and took off to look for a yellow drop. I eventually found one and returned home, reactivated it, and then on day 58 I removed some aloes from existence and took the armor right off their backs. I then used that to craft another saddle. I then threw some wood in the forge to smelt metal and make some charcoal for gunpowder. And now we jump ahead to day 61 where I'm gathering some obsidian to craft some polymer. So I crafted the remaining poly to craft a shotgun. And on day 62, I made up some shotgun ammo. I then sheared the ovis and made a couple pieces of fur armor. And on day 63, I set off to face the Ice Queen. Once I arrived at her cave, I put Scooter in a Pokeball and very carefully snuck past the bears inside. And once I dropped down the hole, there was no turning back. I went to K-mode to see if there was any ice-dwelling heathens waiting for me and threw out my theories. And sure enough, not too far ahead, a degenerate was waiting. He got deleted. So after defeating the ice worms one by one, nearing the entrance to the lair, I put the theories in a Pokeball and ran for my life. Standing at the top of the waterfall, I took a deep breath and dropped. And as I hit the bottom, reality sunk in. What if I wasn't prepared for this? What if I lose? This would be a major setback. But all I could do was toss out the theories and go for it.
here. One more breath, one more round. You come too far to lay down.
Yeah, I don't know why she stopped attacking, but it works, I guess. Anyway, I made it to the back of the cave, collected my prize, and once I made it out, I of course ran into a pack of degenerates. So I sent one to the Shadow Realm, and that scared the rest of them. I then threw out Scooter and got the hell out of there. Now returning home, I threw the Theories back out to eat and heal, and on day 64 I crafted some more rifle ammo, went on a berry run with the trike, hatched up some more Theory eggs, and sacrificed more children to the Yard Gods. And on day 65 I crafted some sleeping bags and prepared myself to take on the puzzle cave. When I arrived, I crafted a large storage box, placed down the sleeping bags, emptied my inventory into the box, and hid it inside. Realizing I forgot the sacrifices, so I went back home and grabbed a couple otters. Also crafted myself a canteen. When I arrived back, I carried off a degenerate and headed back inside and pressed the buttons I needed to open the cave. And dropped into the pit below. I then made my way carefully through the first chamber because I knew if I get hit once by that fire, I was done. I pressed the button on my immediate left and ended up missing that door, so I opened the other one instead. I did make it through that one, so I gathered my nerves and dove down. Now there was lots of traps in here that spawned things, so I threw the Theories just to be safe, which was a good call because as soon as I touched this button, I got assaulted by a horde of degenerates. Anyway, after sending the heathens back to the Shadow Realm, I pushed the correct button and advanced through. Then after triggering some smoke grenades, the rats with wings decided they wanted a piece.
Stupid.
Anyway, after getting rid of them, Theory was a little thick, so I had to go into the next chamber on foot, which almost ended badly. Yeah, it seems I may have triggered a few too many traps. I was jumping and weaving through scaled and eight-legged and wicked degenerates.
No. Wait. Wait.
And then I finally pushed through and was just barely able to throw the Theory to save my life. He made pretty quick work of him. Anyway, after making it through and getting rid of the local buggy boys, I found myself in the parkour cave, which all of you have seen me do before, so there's our artifact. Now it was time to make a sacrifice.
I'm sorry, little one.
Rest in peace, you adorable little shit. After being traumatized by this game for the 3,487th time, I proceeded through the cave. I pushed the button and prepared to fight. So with the spirit dinos down, I was able to collect the next two artifacts. I then made my way out. Now I still had one more side to do, but I was going to wait on that. I finally made it back home, and it was now day 67. I crafted some scuba gear to get the next Devourer artifact, and on day 68 I arrived above the artifact. I equipped my scuba and dove into the depths. Thankfully, there was no Tusos nearby, so this artifact was no issue. I returned home and realized the only artifact I had left was the last one in the puzzle cave. So I decided to upgrade my shotgun a couple times, just to be safe. I gathered some obsidian for more poly, crafted some up, and made myself a chainsaw. Got a decent amount of wood from this tree, which I of course threw in the forge to make charcoal, and then took Mr. Ankleton on a pretty hefty flint run. On day 69,
Nice.
I crafted a ton of spark powder and put Sir Ankleton to work again.
It's about drive, it's about power.
Crafted about 10 campfires to split the charcoal load, and made a ton of gunpowder on day 70, and turned all that gunpowder into shotgun shells, and repaired my armor, And on day 71, I arrived back at the puzzle cave, and while I was entering the letters, this happened.
Okay.
Yeah, $60 game, by the way. Anyway, I used the gravestone to get my stuff back because it kept getting teleported out when I tried to get it off the body, and I finally made it back down. I entered the opposite door from the last, and while doing the parkour, my life was saved by the perfectly made game. I eventually made it through and had to delete some degenerates from this mortal plane. Anyway, on to the next chamber. Piece of cake. And this button puzzle really is easy if you know what you're doing. Anyway, I dropped down and collected my artifact. I ended up defeating spirit dinos again and made it back home. I crafted a storage box to place the artifacts in and loaded all 10 into it. I then lined up the Theories of Breed, and on day 72, I spotted this Giga on my way to collect silica pearls, and collected these many pearls I needed for a chemistry bench. And when I got back to the surface, decided to remove the degenerate of a Giga that was nearby. And then this asshole decided it wanted to play. See you later, buddy. Gathered some obsidian as well as some crystal. Harvested the Giga heart as well as his plates, which took forever, by the way. And on day 73, I angered a horde of beaver just by being near them.
Anyway, I started blasting.
And once most of them were deceased, I stole the cementing paste from their kids' college fund. And then collected some vegetables for a broth of enlightenment. I planted some corn, and on day 75, I murdered some heathens for their pelts. And when I returned home, I made the broth of enlightenment. Later on, I was able to craft a chemistry bench. On day 76, I found myself in the swamp, killing Spinos for levels. And of course, I made a very poor decision. Yeah, that was stupid.
There's no fucking way that actually just happened.
I got my stuff back and crafted another broth on day 77 and sacrificed some more children. And on day 78, I set the nest in a foundation gap so I could just throw the eggs in without them eating out of the nest. I then decided just to check for a Giga nest.
Wait.
Of course, I took the Giga from the dead beast who decided being this island's mobsters were more important than raising their child. And then I nabbed a golden egg from a Hesperornis, and on day 79, I threw out the Theories to take care of the rest of the Spinos in the swamp. And I also took a Deinonychus egg. And when I returned home, I of course threw down the Giga egg, and then on day 80, it finally hatched. I also adopted this almost fully grown Dode that was just chilling in the woods. And on day 81, I imprinted my new Giga. I then hatched the Deinonychus, and I only know they popped because of the dossier that popped up afterwards. I crafted a bit of cementing paste as well as some more polymer, and then while collecting silica pearls, I went all Mike Tyson on this shark. Then on day 82, I set the Theories to Breed to begin working towards a boss fight. On day 83, I committed Parasaur genocide and harvested up some crystal. And when I returned home, I crafted an egg incubator to help get ready for Doug and Greg. Now, I debated on using this or not, but I figured it's endgame and I needed to pump out eggs quickly, so it should be okay. I then hatched a bunch of 00 females to get this done as quickly as possible. And while waiting, the Giga was finally a full-grown man, so I named him George. On day 84, I got a melee mutation, and we jump ahead to day 89, where I got the health stat up to 4. And on day 90, I decided it was time to combine the stats and prepare myself. And while I was waiting on breeding, I did end up getting all the resources necessary to craft 15 activated beta implants and turn them into saddles. I also crafted a ton of shotgun shells, and here we are on day 94 with all of the babies raising and imprinting. And now day 95 with them all grown up with 15 to 16k HP and the rest of the levels going into melee. And nearing the end of day 98, I set sail to the Blue Obelisk. We arrived on day 99, and while I threw out the Theories one by one, gave them the rest of their levels, loaded up the obelisk, committed suicide via dodo pecking, and now it was day 100.
There it is. Day 100.
I, of course, named some of the Theories after some of the supporters through this painful journey. Anyway, I started the portal and prepared myself as best as I could. All right, that's going to do it for this one, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed. As always, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Honestly, my review of this mod, it was not really my style. I liked it. It was good. It was fun. But the slower pace is not necessarily my thing. And, you know, it is what it is. Obviously, we did not complete the challenge. But you can't win them all. We definitely tried our hearts out. I mean, I feel like if we had had better saddles, it definitely would have been a lot better. However, it just kind of is what it is. We'll learn from our mistakes. Anyway, thanks you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.